Hated everywhere. Hey, stream. Yeah, there we are. Are live on the internet. Welcome, everybody. This is the pre-show. Not to be confused with Hey, stream. Oh, hey, Tree Void's here. Woohoo! Party can begin. Tree Void is here. No Microsoft pages. I'm pushing. Come on, Microsoft. All right. Good. Oh, all right. Get some drinks. Smarter. How you doing? Mino's tired. I'm pissed off. I didn't get enough chance to do the boss rush because I was fighting with Walgreens. Other than that, working, doing other things. But this last several hours that I had expected to have time to just play with the new boss rush, did not quite get the time that I wanted. I blame Walgreens. Sorry if anybody works for Walgreens. It's me. Excalibur! How are we doing tonight? Got people on Twitch. We got people on YouTube. Both. All 4 people. Black Nero's still alive because he sucks. Can't beat the boss rush.
We're streaming right now?
We are streaming, yes.
No, I said he is?
Yeah, BC's streaming right now. They go in his chat. Trying to fit all the mechanics on a single page of infographic. Yeah, Excalibur. Good luck with that. I will I will look forward to that. I will look forward to that. Ryu the Wolf says the bosses were honestly more frail than I expected for this boss rush. I brought 9 green BTs. Oh. BC's going to be on a while because he's got a full tactics team going on here. Here, let's got a window. That window capture. There we go. Here, let's watch BC.
How long has he been running for?
I think an hour. I think he was on. I think he started at. He started at 7. I know what he's saying.
That's problematic.
See how much damage his Machina's doing.
Oh, his follow-up's gone. Yeah, no, it's cooked.
Oh, he sucks. BC's
Right,
sucking
let's
it
think
up.
of another way to go about this. It's just the single targetness is just not that good.
Single target's is not that good, everybody. You got that? Everybody, if you haven't subbed to Black Nero on YouTube,
Gotta bring the gun.
of course you have.
9 did help.
20% more to do.
Press
Wow.
the Zac button. I
Wow.
really don't want to have to do that.
Well, get good, man. Get good.
What else can I do? Oh, Cloud. Cloud. Duh.
Yeah, no, it is nice,
You
isn't it?
got
We'll
the
talk about it
waves.
tonight. We'll talk about
Rem
it tonight.
Cloud.
Bring Cloud. Oh,
RCL
yeah.
is LDD buffs. What are y'all smoking?
Wow.
Really?
Wow. I'm watching all of you. I'm watching all of you. No launch. No launch. It does. Oh, now we're... There we go. Oh. There we go. Oh, that was a little Inception stuff going on there. All right, but we'll start the show. BC will suck for a while. And maybe join us later. Tell us about how much he's... Yeah, that Bahamut. We'll talk more about it in a second. Mino, you ready to go?
Yeah.
All
Let's do
right.
this.
Let's start the show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Watch your eardrums. Welcome everyone to episode 196 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded this June 2nd, 2022. I'm your host, Mark, and I welcome you back from our casual stream to an official episode. And I'm not alone. I'm joined by my good friend and yours, Mino Spellgood. Mino, how you doing?
Hey, Mark. I did not sleep last night because I ate really spicy. This is what getting old is.
Yes.
Yes. I ate food. I used to love my spice, and this is something I've eaten before. Had it for the first time in a long time at night, and then my stomach was just so upset and burning the whole night. I literally couldn't fall asleep, and it's terrible.
Yeah. No, that is officially part of becoming old. You cannot have anything spicy towards night, or water, or milk, or pretty much anything.
Yeah, milk tears my stomach now too. I just learned you can develop allergies
Yes.
and lactose intolerance late into your life, like after 35.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I guess your body just stops working.
Yeah, no, pretty much that's 100% what happened.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, well, while the Zoomer gets beat to hell by Boss Rush over on his YouTube, the Millennial and X-Gener are complaining about their oldness. So there you go. Prime YouTubing experience, Twitch experience. Do consider giving us a like, a sub, a ring the bell for notifications, a follow, a sub on Twitch. Feel free to super chat, become a member on YouTube. We appreciate your support. Or you can go to manscaped.com, who is presenting this podcast and many, for 20% off your entire order. TCC Pod. We are in contract negotiations, signing contracts to be sponsored over the next few months. So there may be a new code and some new offers and new products. But for now, check out Manscaped, the official male grooming or just general hygiene care sponsor of the Crystal Chronicles, and this episode is presented by our good friends at Manscaped. Check out manscaped.com for all your personal grooming needs, like the Lawnmower 4.0 or the Weed Whacker. Or just get some good underwear. I still got to get some more. Always need good underwear. Well, what else can we say? I wish there was something to... I wish there was some campaign I could do, but I'm like, oh, I don't have ICO, and then I threw 20 tickets on or 60 tickets on. I got ICO. There you go. Last week we had some trivia. That trivia was, in which nation was the Crystal Chronicles the #1 gaming podcast for a short time? The answer was the Philippines. Thank you for Photo Cedar, our TCC intern, for getting that good work. This week is an actual in-game, actual game. Thank you, Airbag, for the subscription. Appreciate that. And CSAM for the subscription as well. Thank you for those Prime subs. I appreciate it. CSAM, 35 months. Woo! 35 months. Almost 3 years, if my math is correct. Glad to have you with us. Airbag for 5 months. Glad to have you with us for that 5 months. How many characters in Defo have cursed arts? Those are the special magical arts we call cursed art. How many characters have those? And bonus question, who are they? Can you name them? Persona 2, best Persona. How is that possible? Well, we've been doing this podcast for over 4 years. So it is possible. Hey, we got some news since the last time we've officially podcasted. We got a Final Fantasy Portal campaign. So for all of you who have the Final Fantasy Portal app, you can use that app and get points, and then we will enjoy the points together. And yeah, I'm trying to look. There you go. So you go on your Portal app and you do things, and then we get question marks. Woohoo! Question marks. That's very exciting. I have the Portal app. I almost never look at it or do anything on it. So thank you for those people who do. We did get the stream rewards, which was nice. And we have a 10 million subscriber, 10 million download, campaign. 10 million worldwide download campaign. That included a daily login. So make sure you're logging in every day for 8 days for 1,000 gems, and then 3,000 gems on the last day for a total of 10,000 free gems. There is a choco board specific to this, and daily mission reward specific to this, and I believe this is how we got the triple BT banner as well. That came around the same time. So if you, and I thought this is a great banner. Null, Noctis, and Locke. I was missing 2 of these BTs, so I went into it. I think a lot of other people did in as well. So if you were missing these 3 guys, not a bad banner to pick up some extra BTs along the way, especially if you have a lot of gems or NF tickets, then you can do those. Game updates and bugs. Yes, ongoing bugs. So, Mino, can I ask you to take this for a second? And I will be back here in a minute. So go on, and any more news and everything else going on.
Sure, no problem. Let me actually pull that up. I'm not as well versed in the bugs off the top of my head, so I'm not sure. What is it? Oh wait, Mark, can you hear us? You're on the mic. Can I mute Mark? Okay, good, he's gone. And I'm looking at our outline, and it just says game bugs, and then next to it says yes. So lost here. I'm improvising off the top of my head at this point. I don't know what's happening. 10 million download campaign was pretty nice and rare because JP got it at the same time. Usually we don't always get the same rewards as JP. As we know, we've been told before that like our stream gem rewards and tickets are less than JP to compensate for foresight. but it is nice that we're getting the exact same amount of gems on the 10 million downloads. Wait, no, this is old news, right? I'm just treading water now until Mark gets back. This is a disaster. Can't even remember what we covered yesterday. Boss Rush kicks me every time going to third wave. CSAM, did you report that on GL feedback? Like, what's your setup for that? Because you must be bringing a certain character or doing something in there, transitioning on a burst or summon, because that's the only time I've heard of it. I saw you bring it up in the Discord, but I haven't seen anybody else run into that either. JP got 1,000 of the hunt tokens. That's equal to 1,000 tickets. Oh shit, you're right as that they got extra tickets. Usually I'm only looking at the gems because I feel like those are way more important. We all know tickets are worthless anyways. Nobody gets anything off of tickets, and I'll prove it to you. I guarantee you, if you go to the triple BT banner, let me know how many tickets it takes to draw a BT, even at triple rates. So all of you guys, if you want to just start dumping your tickets into that banner just to see what your odds are, show me the before and after screenshot, and then maybe I'll change my stance on that. Levy saying happens to me every time I go into third wave as well. Game crashes and I have to reopen it. What system are you guys playing on? I don't know. This has to be in the main chord feedback, right? Like, I, like something's happening if it's crashing because I haven't heard of it. Android. Oh yeah, yeah. One bug of note is that the game tends to crash on Bahamut or in the transition to Wave 3.
Uh-oh.
Is that on the notices? Actually, let me check the feedback right now.
I am back. I apologize. My wife and children are traveling south, and my wife wanted to make sure that she forgot something, which she did. So she was a little frantic there, but all is well. So yeah, there's issues when you're heading into Bahamut. Is that what we're hearing?
Third wave of the boss rush.
Yeah, or third. Okay, going into the third wave of the boss rush, which is not Bahamut, leaving Bahamut. I don't see anything on the in-game, but if you see it crashed for me on iOS. Tree Void is saying. CSAM says you can load back in and it works, but it's annoying. Android as well. Happens on phone and emulator. That was Leviax. Whew. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, that's not in the feedback on main chord. I don't see that in-game, so let them know if you can record a little video about it or screen grab it and send it to them on the main chord feedback. They would appreciate that. I'm sure they would go into that. So you were just talking about bugs. Anything else, Mina?
Not that I know of. Did we even have anything listed? Well, we talked a bit about the 10 million download campaign, but I think we touched on that last week as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it started officially as of last week. We talked about it on the casual stream, but not on the official podcast.
That makes sense. You're right. Right. Yeah, okay.
Yep. We do have a new costume, so all of you Prish fans can get your Prish summer gear, I guess. What is it is like a summer, what do they call it even? They have an official name for it. Limited time Prish costume. Prish's extra costume, but you can also get Aiko, Gilgamesh, Shulk and Yuna's and Fran's and Yuffie's and Celeste and Locke and Knowles and Noctis and Y'shtola and Snow and Cisne. There's a lot of costumes. So all of you, Excalibur says 10 million download celebrations, once again showing why DissidiaFFOO is the most generous gacha out there. Tree Void also, yes, one of the more recent bugs was that Layla, Greg, and Aiko aren't getting double summon board points through that campaign, so that is something I know they know, but is working out as well. So, well, let's start talking about actual content. We have a Bahamut in the boss rush, but we need to talk about Divine Bahamut, which is our latest Divine boards, and we're getting pretty close, aren't we, to having all of the boards done? Who are we missing? We're only missing one, right? Yeah, of the 1, 2, 3,
I
4,
think we're
5.
missing like Odin.
It's just Odin. Yep, just Odin.
Yeah.
That is the only Divine board that we are missing at this point. So with Divine Bahamut, we got 2 banners. We got a banner with Prish, her new LD and BT. We got a banner with Yuna, her new BT plus. And we also got C90 upgrades for Fran and Celeste. C90 upgrades for Fran and Celeste. I really didn't see anything particularly worth mentioning. I messed around with both of them, just besides more damage and EXs that don't suck and somewhat usefulness, although Fran's still probably more useful in her call ability form. Celeste seemed a little bit more playable, although I do have a great sword, so great sword ultimate weapon, so that kind of helped. But sometimes the ability to just use a ultimate weapon and C90 can make you a little bit more usable for events and stuff that she would really shine in. But nothing particularly different in either of their kits to my knowledge. Mino, anything on either of those?
I imagine with a greatsword, Celeste
Yeah.
might put out some good numbers with
Yeah.
her ultimate. I mean, with her LD traps, but I have not messed with her.
It's
I mean,
not.
she looked good. She looked good in the fight when you used her on Bahamut.
Yeah,
but,
right,
you know.
right. Yeah, no, I did use her on stream last week. Yeah, not doing terrible damage. Obviously, she's tanking, but obviously that was with the full upgrade. She will come back with her BT plus and an FR. So, right, I believe that's correct. She gets a BT along the way at some point. I may be completely wrong. And so we do move to a new LD and BT, and that is Prish. Prish, we did talk a little bit about last week. Prish from Final Fantasy XI, if you weren't familiar with her, was kind of an interesting melee monk type character that had different elemental chains depending on which button you pressed. Now she has a unique mechanic that allows her to add extra brave hits to party attacks. She gets one of those from her LD and another one from her BT. So if you have both of her LD buff, I believe it is the buff, and her BT effect active, she will be able to add 2 additional brave hits to party's attacks. So as we were talking about on the casual stream, this is really good for characters who do lots of HP dumps with limited brave hits. So think those big EXs or BT attacks like Sid from Final Fantasy VII. He's got that big EX dump with a whole bunch of single hit brave attacks and then HP dumps. So, 10 or 15. There are characters that have 10 or 15 HP dumps, but only 1 or 2 brave hits. She will allow them to do an additional one with her LD buff or 2 additional one. Yin is saying the BT or the LD is, I thought the LD was party too. Am I incorrect on that?
The LD is for herself.
Just herself. The BT effect adds it to everything.
Supposedly, I didn't mess with this. Supposedly, the LD call is party-wide.
Oh, that's right. So the LD call, correct. The LD call will add that to the party. But that not on the actual LD buff herself. 100 Fists will do it to herself and her attacks. The BT effect is for the entire party.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting potential in terms of her viability as a call unit as well. She does do brave damage up, HP damage up, overflow as well with the call. So yeah. So not a bad call at the end of the day. She's doing pretty decent damage. Obviously, I think one of the big things with her, she ignores, she has consecutive turns. She ignores defense on some of her attacks. Obviously, she's doing elemental damage. Trying to think any kind of other exciting things that she might have in her kit that we haven't talked about. One of the things I think that for the at least meantime that might be against her is she is fist, and we don't have a lot of fist users for ultimate weapons yet. We will later down the line. Obviously, if you're interested in characters like Tifa, investing in an ultimate weapon fist is not something terrible to do. At this point, though, she's competing with some other better characters for the ultimate weapon slots, which are limited depending on if you whale or not, or if you have the whale pass or not. But overall, I mean, she's a fun little character. She has a unique gimmick. I don't necessarily think she's necessary, or probably a lot of people will be using her, but I like the interesting gimmick. I would say one of the issues with her is her damage output can be a little all over the place, and she's not having huge party buffs without her. I mean, obviously with her BT effect a little bit, but even with her BT effect, you're probably going to need some other support, and you're also bringing her kind of as a supporting role to give the party the extra brave hits. So it makes her kind of an interesting third slot, because you're going to want another damage dealer to really take advantage of her hits, but you're also going to need some really good solo support in that case. So, if you really want her as your solo damage dealer, I'm not really sure you're getting as much out of her as you could, because of her BT effect. But otherwise, she's kind of in a strange position. Excuse me. Off button there. Mino, what are your thoughts on Prish?
Excalibur saying LDCA is selfish if he recalls correctly. All right, so we're getting conflicting answers. I'll look that up unless somebody wants to do it in chat too. I'll look it up after I give my part. But I don't know. I think I disagree a little bit. I feel like her damage is definitely in the top tier of what we have available right now. I've seen her casually pump out a million per turn with the right party, and I don't think a lot of DPS can do that. I think she can really carry the damage by herself for right now. That being said, I still have yet to get her BT, so I'm going all in on Scythe. So I haven't really played with her BT effect either. I will say that not being able to get the BT effect hurts, but this bleeds into the boss rush a bit. But now that we're getting these crazy GL first events, I'm a little paranoid. Like this effect, it was a really difficult fight that really showed off her ability, because they took away brave gains from a good portion of that fight, and all of a sudden a lot of people were hitting walls because you have to do damage purely on your brave shape against bosses with really high defense. I don't know, they made her look really good. There are some circumstances where you can't battery your way out, and then there's also certain follow-up characters like Cisne and Freya really benefit from doubled hits a lot. I'm starting to notice. That being said, now that I'm about to leave her cycle without her BT, the temptation to green it and invest is kind of waning. But no, her cycle, especially this GL first event, they really showed how this can be useful, how doubling up on brave damage can be really good. A lot of people really felt the zero battery thing, man. It's fucking painful. Oh my god. And so a lot of the things you're used to, I don't know, like Kate Sith call or Alice A call to generate brave in between stuff, when your refunds are just shut down, I think she's really cool. I think her damage is really high right now. She's okay as a turn manipulator, not as good as I wanted her to be. She does have that instant consecutive ability, but outside of that, I don't think she's actually that fast. At least that's what it feels like. But solid fist user. It's basically her or Prish for a little bit moving forward, because I mean her or Tifa. Because when Tifa comes around, there's a good amount of fist requirements going forward. And then besides the two of them, if we should get hit by like an Equinox or an Abyss, I don't think Prish is a bad investment at all. Very solid DPS, and Alphino is not a normal player, but he didn't pull Tifa and used Prish in Tifa's cycle to make up for it. So, I mean, that's the LD hits really hard. Same with the EX. I think it still holds its weight in Shinryu era when you have the force gauge multipliers and you throw her out. I think her damage potential is actually very good.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, I know the LD obviously can do well over 1 million damage. The EX can as well. But, when you're doing the setups with the, the skill 1s and skill 2 attacks, I think your damage can suffer a little bit, can it? Isn't there a drop there between, trying to go in between the skill 1s and skill 2, upgraded skill 1s and skill 2s, and then pressing the LD or pressing the EX?
What do you mean by drop off? As in, like, you think the average is low?
Well, yeah, I mean, she's not doing 1 million damage with her skills, obviously.
The free skills.
Do you think so?
The free skills can hit 500k pretty easily if you throw an Ultima weapon on there or some HP cap
that's
up.
fair.
That's like 700-800. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Chat is clarifying, so her LDCA does not apply the effect to the party. It is selfish. So the LD selfish. The only way she can double other people's brave hits is through the BT effect. We have that confirmed. Thank you, chat.
Yeah. Excalibur says if you use a Roha call, you can have a 1-hit LD pseudo Snoverflow with her LD, like 12 million LD hit. Huh. Yeah, no, I'm not sure about the call there. Yeah, that's what we were talking. And must have got confused about the LD call last week. That happens. Yeah, we blame you. It's our fault for listening. That's what we get.
Yeah.
That's what we get. So, she also gets her BT plus. We said that. Yuna gets her BT plus as well at this point. I fully upgraded my Yuna. She's her HP cap up or her HP damage limit up is competitive. She gets a little bit of everything else as well as a support character. I think the big problem with Yuna, her damage is not terrible too with her ultimate weapon staff as a support character. I think the big problem is she has, especially if you use her upgraded Brave Plus, that is fast turn rate. Then she has Asuna and Cheer, which are instant turn rates. So she can really burn through her BT effect. And I think it's 8 turns. So that's not real ideal because you don't want to use her burst phase potentially if you're stacking her with other burst effects. So, obviously she's in competition with burst effect support with Garnet and Ramza and some other characters, obviously, down the lane. But, she's a good, if you already have her in like Yuna, she's not terrible, but I'm not sure I would encourage anybody to invest in Yuna. Any thoughts on that, Mino?
No, not really. Just that I think numerically we covered last week that her auras are objectively worse than Garnet's in almost every way. I know she has some things going for her. I know people, but just returning greens, I really just can't really say much about.
Yeah, no, it's not great for her. We did have the summon board grind, of course. And that was easy. Some people were talking about it taking a little bit long for them. It's Cosmos. I don't know. I think maybe people might be afraid to bring full synergy teams because they don't have like the LDs or they don't have BT pluses. Like it's Cosmos difficulty. So like your C90 characters with limited gear will probably be able to auto battle it without much of a problem. I think you just play around with it if you're hesitant, and you're spending extra time anyway if you're bringing like one good synergy character and two non-synergy, or two okay synergy characters and one non-synergy super character. As long as you can auto battle it with 3 synergy characters, like who cares how like long it takes, because you're not paying attention to the game, and it's going to take less time than trying to do that. At least that's my opinion on it. Try it, make sure that you can't. Like, the only reason to bring a non-synergy character to the board grind is if you cannot clear it by auto battling with 3 synergy characters. Does that make sense, Mino? Have you seen that in our Discord? Some people struggling with that?
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I haven't. I thought we're at the point where synergy characters can one-shot it now.
My thought was not even to talk about the board grind, because it's not been an issue. But I was seeing some conversation, I think in our Discord, I don't think it was in a different Discord, of people struggling to, or people bringing non-synergy characters to do it, and it taking a little bit longer because of that. And I mean, I just can't imagine that you couldn't just bring one of these characters. I mean, you have a whole bunch of options, and carry 2 other ones without much of an issue, or even just bring C90 characters with whatever gear you got and call it good. But I could be wrong. That is our privilege as veteran players probably coming into play. But Summon Biscuits is saying Prish one-shots it. Yeah, right. Like, anybody considerably, if you have Prish LD, obviously she would one-shot it. But a lot of characters would, I would think. So just try it. Yeah. So even if you don't have everything, just give it a try. Divine Bahamut is like level 40 Bahamut, I should say. What the hell does that do?
It shit.
I got it up
earlier.
Yeah, I got it up on screen. Not that you can read it. So Bahamut's Blessing reduces the enemies by 15% attack, and gives the break bonus, which sucks. But the new effect is fills the party's recast gauge, grants 1 turn of Mega Flare, non-elemental damage ×2. Party can deal HP damage beyond 10% of the limit. So what is the Mega Flare buff? Gives you 1 turn that keeps your EX gauge full. So there you go. 2 turns of EX gauge spam. So that's not too bad. That's interesting if you want to play around with that, especially with these C90s. So it will fill your EX gauge, and then it gives you that Mega Flare buff, which will allow you to, correct me if I'm wrong, use your EX again. That sound correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. A little different. I mean, we're so used to not really paying attention to, again, summons, but in Boss Rush, if you have more than one team, you got to bring more than one summon. So that Ian is confirming that, yes. And a crow and Bahamut. They are a match made in heaven. Crow, Bahamut, Lulu, your Lulu copium. I mean, she might like a free too, but Lulu copium, get that EX going, because her EX can do 1 million damage. If you have an ultimate weapon on your Lulu, your Blulu. Oh Lord. Well, there was a fight. And it's Bahamut. And Bahamut is a big scary monster with lots of HP, 60 million HP. It starts, I believe, with these 2 little monsters, the Dragon Stars, that can't really be hurt, right? But are so they're supporting it. The Lufania Orb appears and reappears. It's canceled, appears, canceled, appears again. The boss, it takes up it pauses. This is a pause orb. So it starts at 89% of its health with a 3-turn count. Then it disappears at 79. At 59%, it comes back with a 2-turn count. Then at 39%, it disappears. 29%, a 1-turn count. So the orb will go off in 1 turn. And I think it will actually kill you. I think this is a lethal orb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it pauses. So you're not ticking it up. You're not canceling it. You're just pausing the orb count. if the boss takes 2 consecutive attacks from the same character. Yeah. And then that is unpaused if the player or boss takes an action. So obviously, Prish is helpful in this. Celeste, as we did on stream last week, Celeste can be used in this. You can use your AAs if they do attacks as well. You can use calls as well. Yeah, so there's lots of different options to do that, but you do want to make sure that you are managing that orb or doing a little bit a big damage. Obviously, people are saying in chat, Yin saying you can use Pistis to just delay him because he may be, he's immune to delete, delay, and break delays, but you can use Pistis to bypass that, of course. Other than that, he will, he doesn't, drop his brave, below 1% of his max brave. Other mechanics on Bahamut. He does have his Mega Flare and his Giga Flare. That's his recast attack. And can give you, a sap, a debuff called sap. Embers, excuse me, that does brave sap. Other things from Bahamut that I'm missing,
So just a reminder that follow up. So to clarify the orb, there's a lot of confusion. This is an older fight now, so I'm not sure how many people still need the clarification. But when they say 2 consecutive attacks from the same character, they mean instances of total HP damage. So anytime you take a turn and you do a bunch of red numbers, once you see the total HP damage, that's 1 instance, and you'll need 2 from the same character back to back. In theory, this is easy to fulfill. Anyone with an attacking AA, it has to be an attack.
Has to be an attack.
Yeah. So anyone with attacking A could technically fill this, but very few people have a lot of control. So, while you could say there's a lot of characters, I don't know if in reality there really is. I need to go check the C2As again, but there's a lot of turn manipulators. People use like Rem and Reigns and Aphmau to get people into position. Follow-up interrupt the orb. This is also important to know because because the boss rush has the same kind of orb, so follow-ups will also stop you dead there. And then, of course, as everyone knows, there's the Quistis method where you can just ignore the entire fight because the orb only ticks down on Bahamut's turn. So as long as he never gets a turn, it'll never tick down. Right. So most people will run Quistis if they don't want to deal with it. I'm really curious, when people listen back to this episode, how many people used Quistis and how many people didn't? Because I definitely ran into people who said, forget this, I'm not trying to blow my brains out on this fight, I'm just going to use Quistis. Like self-declared good players are just decide to skip the fight. Because the fight is pretty. I wouldn't say it's execution heavy if you have the right characters, but you definitely do have to think. Mark streamed it for us last week, and even though he ran full synergy, he still had to think about his turns, right? Like he couldn't just mindlessly.
Who did I run? I ran Prish without her BT, Celeste, and Lulu? Is Lulu? No, Lulu's not synergy on this yet. Where are we? Fran, Celeste, Prish, Yuna. Oh, I ran Yuna. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And then Celeste and Prish both fulfill the orb. So as long as one of them came up before Bahamut's turn,
you had to time it so that like if Yuna came up behind, I think Excalibur always does these wonderful infographics. Destroth does some cool infographics that show different team comps. Excalibur does some cool infographics. We have them all on our in our Discord under information content.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can check out that. But Excalibur is saying, people were having problems because they would trigger the 1 turb orb one turn orb at 29% right before Bahamut acted. And then Bahamut would go and it would trigger the orb. And so likewise, if you have a character that's acting right before Bahamut that can't do the consecutive attacks, there's problems.
Right, and then to follow up with chat, a lot of people are bringing up great things about the fight. A lot of it is such as, so I suspected this Tree Void. I didn't test it because I couldn't think of it. So Tree Void saying
Brave
HP damage
okay.
HP attack is HP damage is not necessary for the orb. It could be brave damage as well. But I was having trouble thinking who still has a purely brave damage attack that's like instant or chainable. So that's why I was like, I was pretty sure it was brave damage, but I wasn't sure if it was redundant to even mention that. I'm sure the incidents are so small. And then following up on that, Excalibur reminds us is a good point, is that it only freezes the orb for the next turn. So if you take more than 2 consecutive turns, like if you're Terra spamming 6, or there's Shadow with his 3, this won't work. You need to get the exactly two consecutive right before Bahamut's turn. So there is a tricky bit of timing where you have to do it right before the turn. And to bring up Leviax's point is that follow-ups can sort of count. Like let's say it's Laguna is your character and the order goes, I don't know, Snow, Laguna, and then Bahamut. If Laguna follows up Snow's attack and then does his own attack, yes, he can technically freeze the orb. But again, all of these are so tough, and I don't think you can get away with just one orb checker unless you have a turn manipulator. Like the fight basically encourages you have multiple options because it's so hard to get your one orb checker before Bahamut every time, especially that final 30% where you get one shot, right? His orb is stuck at 1, and if it goes off, it goes off, period.
Yeah, so if you have a follow-up character who's interrupting other characters' consecutive actions, that will not freeze the orb, or will unfreeze the orb. But if you have your follow-up character doing an attack after theirs, or even after the orb is frozen, then it shouldn't be an issue. I think, like Leviax is saying, if you did 2 turns, freeze the orb, and then Garnet's follow-up went off, it shouldn't affect the orb. I believe that's what they're saying there. But obviously, if you have, you do your Prish skill 1, and then Garnet's goes, and then try to do Prish skill 2, that will interrupt. That will not freeze it. Something like that.
Right. Because just the follow-up sometimes is just a separate total HP damage. We've seen that before. So you just got to make sure it's not that kind. And I didn't use Core, but I assume Core, he always adds his damage to his partners. So I'm assuming that he doesn't mess it up, although he can counter and mess it up. So I don't know. There's all this stuff here. Yeah, definitely no boss turning the fight would be the recommended strategy. Freezing the orb is just too tricky to time. But to bring that up, Excalibur, like processing in chat, like I feel like this was a really fun fight, right? Of course it's tricky to do the mechanics. Isn't this what we wanted? We wanted fights that are engaging and make you do the mechanic. I feel like bringing Quistis here is equivalent to bringing Yuffie to Dullahan. You're just skipping the fight. Because if you bring Quistis here and do the no-turn... unless... I guess he's talking about there's other no-turn strategies too, right? Like if you just bring a lot of follow-ups and you bring like Tidus or Terra and they have just like infinite turns and you're just going to kill the boss before it can act. It's an option, but I don't know. I feel like you're missing out on a lot of fun if you just decide not to interact with the boss at all.
Yeah, it's not a super punishing fight if you can interact with the orb, right? I mean, it's a manageable fight. It's not like there's this horrible orb and 6 other things you need to worry about. You really just need to focus on the orb and have some ways to deal with the incoming attacks from from the boss. So. Overall, pretty good. Not a terrible fight. Oh, D Knight, what did you miss? Nothing. We're just finishing up Divine Bahamut. Just Divine Bahamut. There you go. Well, that brings us to Shulk's lost chapter. It is a lost chapter, right? It's not an intersecting will.
Yeah.
It is an actual lost chapter. Shulk was a new character. New characters still get lost chapters. Shulk's lost chapter, we're still getting a couple lost chapters here and there, brings us Shulk's C90. And I can tell you, after playing Shulk again, I completely forgot what she does and how to play her. And I tried to remember, and then I felt like, wow, she's really not very good. And I don't know if her C90 just didn't really give her anything to mention. She did get a rework too, I think. Yeah, and looking at her kit, it seems like, oh, okay, she should be fine. She's a weird character. We talked about her when she came out, obviously, because she resets herself. Her LD basically resets her to game start, but it charges her EX. So I guess you can potentially just EX spam and go to town that way, because her EX is pretty damaging. But man, I felt like she was a little bit more fun to play when she launched than she is with her C90, and she is a unique weapon, and I do have an ultimate weapon, so her damage should be good. I just wasn't feeling it, and again, maybe it's because I forgot how you play her, but yeah, free turn, consecutive turn, weird damage up mechanics, and reset her whole kit mechanics. But I just really wasn't feeling it. She does have the brave floor, but so I mean, I guess you can play around with that, but she also has these weird mechanics, which again we talked about when she came out, the shield and last stand and everything. So she's a little bit all over the place, but I just feel like she didn't get very much. I may be wrong on that, but trying to use her and play around with her, it just didn't feel real good. Did you have any experience with Shulk in C90 era?
Yeah, I actually used her for the boss rush. The boss rush was a very good showcase of all the characters this cycle. I'm not sure if she was the best choice, but she offered some utility that the boss rush really highlighted that I really appreciated afterwards.
Like on the Bahamut? Okay, I could see that, because she gets to act after the enemy's turn. She has that turn.
Right, she has warp. Right, she has warp. And I thought you didn't get a chance to tackle the boss rush.
I played through the first couple of them.
Okay.
I know Bahamut takes consecutive turn.
Yeah, so what it was is she can technically have infinite turns until she runs out of skills, and it takes a long time for her to run out of skills. Her damage is not that impressive. I will agree with that. I think without Ultima Weapon, her EX can hit about 800k, but everything else is like 2 to 4. So not super great, but in theory, those are supposed to be free consecutives. In theory, and let's see, what did I use her for?
So just a clarifying question. Levias asks, and I would assume the answer is yes. Do her warps, so when she warps turn and then gets to act, do they count in boss rush as a turn taken?
Yeah, they do.
Everything does. Yep. Yeah. Warps are not only follow-ups and stuff get around that. Warps don't. Yep.
Right. So I'm trying to remember my point. Okay. So it was the consecutives, the damage. What is? Oh, right. So I'm not sure if this is bugged or not, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only person using Shulk right now. Yeah. So you guys can tell me. Maybe it's just been so long since I've used her that I forgot how she worked. But I know Eldenar's doesn't work this way, and so right now when I use her, if she gets a warp, when Eldenar's got a warp, it's just one free action. So if he tried to use an AA or a call or any instant ability, that's the turn, right? Even though it's a free turn, that's the turn.
Okay.
But for some reason, when on Shelk's warps, if I use an instant turn, she claims control again, if that makes sense. So for example, when she warps in Bahamut, Bahamut takes 3 attacks in a row, she'll jump in, and then if I AA or LD, which count as instant actions, she gains control again, and then she takes her turns as normal, getting infinite free turns again, bouncing back and forth. I don't think this is supposed to happen unless I super forgot how she worked, but she definitely defies nature. And so how it worked was how I used Shulk is with the 30 turns, I loaded her up with 2 follow-up characters, right? Cisne and Freya. And then I loaded the shit out of them with calls and everything, like calls, get all your buffs up, and then once they're set up, Shelke just takes the rest of the 30 actions for boss rush, right?
Oh.
And then she'll have full like Kate Sith call running. She'll have like everything going, and the follow-ups will never drop in potency. And I needed her because I know a lot of people use Layla to interrupt, but when Layla interrupts, she brings the entire party with her.
Yes.
Which isn't what I was looking for. It was specifically Shelke kept interrupting and then just kept spamming turns the entire time, killing Bahamut with follow-up. I know it's just one fight, but it was something she was super good at.
Huh.
And again, any Shelke experts or testers out there, you want to see, there's no way Shelke's supposed to be able to do this, right?
But the difference is Eldnarsh, let me try to get up Eldnarsh here. Eldnarsh basically gets a free turn based on the debuff, correct? Whereas she's getting one after everyone's actions. That's how her kit works.
After what? I'm trying to think, and I'm trying to ask D-Knight to specify.
So
go.
Eldnarsh gets a free turn after the boss's turn.
Yes.
That's how his warp debuff works. Every time the boss who is debuffed takes a turn, Eldnarsh warps and gets a turn. And if whatever he does, then that's his turn. Shelke gets turns after the boss goes, but also after her turn. So isn't that
right?
So even if she presses something else, she still gets a turn because it's still her turn.
It's a weird interaction because so when she warps, it says it's her free turn. Like it even says this is her free turn.
Okay.
And so she can't take 2 free turns in a row. So if you're playing her normally, you would basically do an attack and then you get a free turn. And if you use like AA or LD, it would reset the free turn so you can attack again.
Yeah, well that's how her AA is supposed to work, right? Especially since you can burn through her AAs. That resets her. Like who else did that? When you use their AA, that reset you to get some extra free turns. Like
that's what I'm asking. Are there people because
like
for example,
lightning and anybody who does like the consecutive turns that are breaks, like they get a consecutive turn on a break, you can use the AA to then reset and get the extra turn, right?
Okay, yeah, so I'm not crazy. D-Knight's saying this is how she was before too, and this is how she's supposed to work. I just remember that with Eldnarsh and Realm specifically is on the warp turn, if you AA, that's it. You lost your free turn.
Right.
Like they don't get to AA and go again. So I guess Shulk is just uniquely built like this, which is pretty cool. I just must have forgotten, but that makes her even unique amongst the warp characters.
It might have something more to do because, even though Shulk, Eldnarsh, and Realm you can consider warp characters, Eldnarsh and Realm are based on debuffs, whereas she's more like a consecutive turn character than she is like Eldnarsh and Realm. Even though she warps, she acts more like a consecutive turn character, like Jet or there's one I was trying to think, Aranea, Araneo is the one everybody AA'd, right? Araneo, Lightning, she works more like the consecutive turn characters than she works like the debuff.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Excalibur saying I think Lightning can do that too. Right, but I was just more curious on working it off of warp. But apparently it does work off that. You can warp and then take control back. So for this extremely specific example, in Boss Rush, where a normal turn hog wouldn't cut it, because eventually, Bahamut would come and Mega Flare and then do his triple turns off the bat. For like, if you ever need a turn hogger and the enemy is constantly jumping ahead of you, wow, she's in a league of her own. But I can't imagine too many fights really needing that, and I'm not going to say pull for her, to be honest. I'm just going to say I was pleasantly surprised to discover she has these niches that nobody else has, and I'm a sucker for those unique characters. But as much as I loved her on release, I don't think her damage really keeps up now. But I guess you also have much stronger follow-up characters. It's give and take here. Tough call.
So Yin posted stuff there. I'm not really sure if that's all text based on Shulk or if that's Shulk Eldnarsh comparison. But he's just saying she isn't restricted from a bonus turn during warp.
Yeah, and Dina reminds me, so right, she can either be played as a pure turn hogger or just a warp character, because as you mentioned, her warps are based on her buff. So she doesn't have to keep it up like Realm and Eld, it's just going to happen. You're pretty much guaranteed her turns after every enemy turn, so when you're fighting enemies that move a lot, she can either turn hog or just be a completely reactive character with free turns. A lot of flexibility, just not enough damage to back it up. Not enough damage to back it up, sadly.
Excalibur reminding us, kind of like Prish and some others, her call ability is actually not terrible because it heals the caller, removes all debuffs, removes enemy buffs, and fills the EX gauge to full. So her LD call, which doesn't do any damage, actually will heal you, cleanse you, dispel the enemies, and charge your EX. It's an interesting option for a call, I would say.
Cleanses you, it won't dispel the enemy. Just a clarification.
Doesn't it?
No,
doesn't it remove enemy debuffs?
It shouldn't, because she doesn't do that while she's in the party. It's basically a factory reset.
Oh no, wait. Yeah, removes all enemy buffs. Yeah, that her LD does that.
What? No, do you have it on the screen? Am I a few seconds behind?
Yeah, no. Looking at TonberryTroupe.com on the infographic, her LD removes all enemy debuffs, all enemy buffs. Excuse me, removes all enemy buffs. It dispels. She is now a dispeller, and her LD call does the same thing.
Is this? No, wait. Removes all debuffs on self.
Yeah, it cleanses. All enemy
buffs. Yeah, I see it. What the fuck? Is that new, or have I just not played Shelke in so long that I've completely forgotten everything about this character?
That may be new.
My God.
Nope, nope. That is not new. That is not new.
I'm just out of touch. Holy shit!
That is not new at all.
Talk about lack of research.
Oh, she's always done that.
Okay.
She's done that.
Oh well.
How often does that come up? Come on. How often does that come up? But yeah, it is a full reset for the bosses and for you. That's cool. That's fun. That's fun. Great job. So that's Shulk. She's not the new LD. The new LD is Lulu. Yeah, Lulu is a character in this game. She gets an LD. Her LD, she got a rework, I guess. In C90, of course. Where I'm trying to get up my Lulu here. Where is Lulu? Lulu. Oh man. So her LD, it just does stuff. I mean, it really doesn't do much of interest, very truthfully. The best thing about her LD is it's a poo-poo. Final Fantasy VIII poo-poo represent. But
yeah, I agree. Her LD is poo-poo.
Her LD is also poo-poo, but it is a poo-poo. It's a poo-poo. Oh, man. So if you're not familiar with Lulu, she is a fire party enchanter and imperiler. She has multiple fire enchants. With her C90 and rework, she gives, like, I guess what you would call true enchant. She kind of bypasses everyone's brave damage and elemental damage. So everybody does fire damage with their brave hits regardless. But yeah, her debuff basically, or her LD basically just does damage, does do her generic fire resist down, and does increase her Dell Master to max stack. So you can pop her LD, make sure everybody is debuffed, make sure her Dell Master is at full stacks, which it should be, and it doesn't do anything else. She didn't get anything else new besides the true enchant. Her auras are awful. You need to have other support if you bring her with your party. All she's really doing is fire enchant and imperil. She doesn't have framed imperil. She doesn't have invisible imperil either, right? Her only imperil is the generic imperil. Yeah. That's real poopy. I really don't like that. Multiple fire enchants though, so lots of stack and fire enchant damage. That's good. Her EX does significant damage, so I mean you can pump that bad boy over to 1 million damage. That's fun. But her other abilities are awful. You don't really want to press them, but you have to. You got to keep that buffs and debuffs up. So
Zeno's asking, I don't understand the difference between regular and true enchant. Just a quick recap is that regular enchants used to only work on non-elemental characters.
Yes.
So for example, if you had Lulu with Rydia,
Yeah.
really all of Rydia's attacks are water, so the fire enchant isn't going to do anything to her.
Yep.
Now, with true enchant, she adds fire onto all attacks. So yeah, so now she actually can enchant Rydia, and Rydia will be doing fire and water together. So a cool idea, never comes into play.
Never useful. Actually, probably more harmful than good, because it will make everything fire. Like everything will be fire, and so if you are bringing her to a boss that is resistant to fire, because again, she doesn't have like any, like they could have given her like an invisible fire imperil or a true imperil that ignores boss resistance. She doesn't have anything like that. And that sucks. I mean, she doesn't even have a framed fire resist down in the era where we have so many frame debuffs. D-Knight, first of all, Lulu is not the worst C90.
That's Thancred, I'm pretty sure.
She's got competition for worst C90. She's not good, and you should not pull her or blue her like I have on my screen. But I just don't understand why. Like why? How do you get done like making a character like Cisne and then or Prish, and then you get to Lulu and you're like, Lulu gets a new LD. What should we do? Oh, let's just make her like better fire enchant. Should we give her more party auras? No. Should we give her some kind of way to bypass resistance? No. Should we give her more damage? Yeah, I guess her EX can do more damage. Great. Her LD can do damage. Okay. Should we make her more fun to play? No. Follow-up attack. Like traps, maybe. I like fire-based framed, like gold framed fire imperil. Would have that been too much to ask? I just feel like they just weren't even trying on this one.
I
But no, multiracial line brings up a good point. Would bypassing resistance be useful? No, not at all. Rydia has no, no. But I would feel better if she had that though, right? It would be like something. So would it be more helpful? No. Is her kit helpful at all? No. Rydia's got freaking party evasion. Like Rydia has other things she does. Lulu does nothing. So I would have felt like maybe just give her enough. Rydia does other things. Give her something. Give her a follow-up attack. I don't know. No, at the end of the day, right? Like at the end of the day, the extra fire damage that's making up for anything else, right? It's not a big deal. You don't really need the framed fire and all that kind of. I just would feel better if it was. That's all I'm saying.
Levy's saying, does she ignore defense?
Yes, correct.
She does
on skill 1, which is 5 AoE brave hits and split AoE HP of damage, 3 dumps. So there you go. She can ignore. She ignores damage on that. Arguably one of her more awful attacks. Yeah, she does not ignore defense on her EX or her LD, the two buttons you would want to press. But she's got the poo-poo. I mean, that's something. Anything else on Lulu? I'm just disappointed, and I don't understand why they make characters that are not good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I got like 3 theories. I mean, the first one is just they ran out of ideas. They dumped all the losers at the end of the era. They just ran out of ideas. You can't tell me somebody actually worked on Thancred and said it was a good idea, or like Lease, or we're getting King soon. Like, I feel like realistically they can't come up with a fresh tuning pass for every single character every time. The second theory is they're just that incompetent. I don't know. I think maybe the character designers aren't talking to the battle designers, because as we keep saying, when has a true enchant or this type of imperil ever been useful? And it won't be. We looked ahead. We know it won't be. Not only are resistances missing, I mean, like enemy elemental absorbs are missing for the longest time, so there's really never any need to imperil enchant at all, ever. Like, I don't think there's anything that makes her enchant necessary in any way. I have no fucking idea, but it's just like, I don't know. They must have designed a character kit.
So I mean, let's kind of posit here what's happening. Let's say, it's the end of the month. Here's the characters we haven't finished. Get on this. Scott. You got Lulu. You got 3 days to, update Lulu. Do whatever you can. And Scott's like, well, I know, I got a code Thancred too, so yeah, we're gonna give her, I guess this is a new mechanic and we'll make it do some damage, but like, just give her better auras. Just like, at some point, it's not even about new mechanics, just like make her do more damage, make her do better auras, like just like bump it up a little bit, like, but if you don't playtest anything, you're like, I guess she looks good. It's Lulu. People will pull for Lulu. People love Lulu.
Yeah. And then I guess the third theory is, and this is a stretch, that they planned her to be paired with Braska coming next month. Yeah, that's because they are like a month apart.
Super intentional.
And I don't know if it actually is, but if it is, because Braska is the Fire FR, he's the third FR to ever come out, and they probably thought, this is how we want to do it, right? Like, we want to combine teams, and, here's the synergy. But I don't want to buy that, because, one, a character shouldn't need another character to be good, I think. Like, I don't think that's good design.
Well,
I don't think.
I mean, if you are thinking about FR era, though, I mean, it is really about who you're putting together. So I understand what you're saying in terms of one character should not be totally dependent on another character. But on the other hand, you are going to be starting to use characters that work together a little bit more than just throwing whatever you can against bosses.
Right. That's and then also I don't want to believe that's intentional, because if it was, they should have released on the same cycle. You know, their banners should overlap,
right,
so you
right.
can pull on both.
Right.
Like, because nobody's gonna know to pull on something that seems like trash.
Correct.
Just because something comes up, like that's a terrible business move. So
right, because by the time Braska comes out,
Lulu's gone.
You're not going to be able to get Lulu.
Yeah, how would anyone know? Like, for example, like characters release in a cycle together because they usually complement each other well. So to separate them by a month, that would be bad if it was done deliberately. So I'm not sure. But in theory, in a crazy world, if this was the intention, Lulu could have worked, although I don't like them being a month apart. Lulu technically could have been a great pickup for this, but then immediately after they released Cam and broke the game, and said, forget it, and then everyone that came before Cam died. So there's no point in running Vraska Lulu when you can just run Cam. So for all intents and purposes, Lulu's just objectively bad. Like, even if she could have shined in a few ways, but that got completely shut down, and we just know it's not going to happen.
Hey, Black Nero is Black Cloud Strife is here from his stream. He says, Mino, hats off to you for streaming this game. Yeah, how did your streaming the boss rush go there, BC? I assume that's what you're referring to. Yeah, maybe Lulu FR bards. Here we go.
Right, and that's always the copium, right? Like a character gets a bad tuning pass, and we're always saying maybe the next tuning pass. We always hope for the best, but at the end of the day, that just means they got a really terrible pass, and they're probably not going to be used these 2 years. Maybe in the next 2 years she'll come back around. Well, but then again, it's paid off for me. All the characters I liked sucked for the longest time. I would argue Kane is not great until his BT. Although I did get some good use out of his LD, and then Sabin for a while until his FR, and then Jekt is still in the in limbo right now. But right, like sometimes a crazy tuning pass does come. Look at Camlanot, right? Like this is going to be the first time he's been good. So maybe next time for Lulu, but I don't know. It's not a good sign. I think her debut and this were bad. And wait, did she have an event?
Was Lulu an event character?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I want to say yes, right?
She would have a lost chapter if she was, right?
BC says chat full of not knowing what the fuck they're talking about and saying use Garnet, Ramza, Zach, Aiko. BC, to be fair, you cultivate that following. So, because when I'm streaming, we don't get a lot of those kinds of idiots around here. It's usually like the people you see here, like Excalibur and and
I streamed the event last week, right? And we didn't have any fools in our chat last week. I don't think. You weren't ready. You shouldn't have been looking at chat. That was your first problem. Your second problem.
You never look at chat, and all of a sudden you look at chat when you're streaming gameplay. Like, I don't know, that's pretty backwards.
At least you won't have to upload a video. So there you go. There you go.
But yeah, rest in peace, Lulu. I will say she's not the worst LD though, just on the fact that her LD does pretty decent damage. I hit the LD, I was like, wow, that's good damage, and then I hit the other skills, and then I got sad again.
Her EX and her LD do decent damage, right?
Yeah, and so that's all I can give her. I want to say maybe they thought she was going to be the damage dealing enchanter in Peril, since she has like minimal shitty auras.
Yes.
And But like, I don't know, man. It just did not work out. Better luck next time, Lulu.
Yeah, but Lulu was an event character and has a lost chapter yet. So pick her up. Pick her up in your thing. She did have a fight, I guess we could talk about. Again, if you want to check out all those potencies and everything else, or not potencies, but if you want to check out the deets on any of the characters, you can go to TonberryTroupe.com, check out the infographics. Shout out to Sel, Teliut, and all our good friends there. Anomander, I think, still working. Who did I forget? Who else is working on Tonberry Troupe? But shout out to all of them. Good work. But yeah, there's to fight the Shulk Lost Chapter boss. There's a Dragonfly and Sweepers. The Dragonfly is immune to anything that has the Confuse status. Yeah. And then,
oh, really?
Yeah.
They changed that. Okay, I guess they didn't want you to quote unquote cheese it like the original release.
Sweepers are immune to launch and support. The boss gets a orb that starts at the beginning of the battle and ticks up with fire damage because this is Lulu's event. So ticks down when you act, ticks down when the boss acts, but fire damage triggers it up. Starts with the minion calling mechanic, right? Calls reinforcements. If there's less than 2 minions, summons 1 minion, fully heals, batteries the minion. So you want to kind of manage the minions, because if you don't, then you'll get 2 of them, or just ignore them, kill the boss, I guess. It does delay itself at various different thresholds. We'll do Carpet Bomb if the minions are alive, and that will be bad for you. So again, you kind of want to kill the minions. All minions trigger at 19% if they're alive, and will do damage. And that's kind of it. It does get a weird aura at some point, doesn't it?
I think you might be thinking of when the ads are up and it takes a turn, it kills you.
Right. There you go. There you go. But yeah, so it not particularly difficult fight. We've had it before. We had in the Shulk Lost chapter. You really need to manage the Waka cannot cheese it. No. Waka does not work. Will not prevent the evasion, and
Waka works a little weirdly. So like he will stop the attack.
Okay.
I believe that if you get the right roll, he does stop the instant kill attack, but he doesn't cancel out the evasion, and he doesn't stop the ad summoning.
Yes, correct. So yeah, probably maybe if they had a little bit more HP, it could have been a little bit more challenging. Because you would have to manage the ads and the thresholds a little bit more, but with 25 million HP and the ads only having 2 million HP each, they do kind of die pretty quick. So, Mino, any thoughts about this fight in particular?
No, fuck these LCs.
I brought Lulu, so could have been. But yeah, let's take a let's take a fight. It probably had less HP than the original fight. Yeah,
I think it barely had any more, but the stats were less. So Maggie dug into
this. Oh, that's right. The stats are. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Maggie dug into this because I was complaining about these LC fights. It goes Reigns and this one, and I'm like, these are like fights that regressed. This is why I think they were running out of ideas, because when the events launched, they had unique orbs, and now, to showcase these loser characters at the end of the aura, Reigns was Battery of the Party or some shit with Steiner. And then this one is just do fire damage with Lulu, right? Like, these are pathetic orbs. And they apparently, in the beginning of Lufania Plus, they had like 2,000, 2,500 attack, both of these bosses. And now they're down to like 500 attack. And the defense too. I don't know why the LC is so much easier. This is the first time we've had an event come back and be objectively worse than the event at first. So that's why I'm just not a big fan. I'm glad we're out of this fucking era. But this is I believe this is the only time we have characters that released in Lufania Plus, and then the LCs are also Lufania Plus. So LC and events are the same difficulty. And so no new mechanics, and for some reason, much weaker bosses. I don't know what they were thinking, man. Garbage stuff, right?
Yeah. it is garbage time for a little bit longer. But we do have some things to occupy us before that, like a new boss rush, which we'll talk about after our little break. We just want to shout out again Tonberry Troupe for all the good work they do. Destroth and Excalibur for all the good work you can go in our Discord. Do take a moment, like and sub and ring the bell and all that kind of stuff. But join our Discord, hang out there. There's a lot of good people there, and if they're not, we will ban you and kick you off. We just don't have tolerance for anything there. But we did have a question of the week. So if you are a YouTube member, if you are a Twitch sub, you can join our Discord and you get access to some private channels, including our question of the week channel, Supporter Corner Question. So number 19, we've been doing this for 19 episodes. What is your favorite mechanic in DissidiaFFOO? What is your favorite mechanic in DissidiaFFOO? So looking at the answers, Yin says, I like the battery system. Before every unit had Brave plus HP attacks. Yes, there was a time when you actually had to Brave, Steel Brave, and then HP dump. Back in the day. And only like 3 characters had Brave plus HP attacks on their skills. That was... C-Sam says, Brave gains. Oh, C-Sam simming for Elfie there. Indolent Lard says, HP damage up and HP cap up. I think we all like that. Telly says, anything overpowered. Yes, because don't play the game. Prish says, call abilities. This is Gussie Goose. 6-man. Blows the doors wide open for how kits can be used. I really enjoyed 6-man. I know it did well. Red Cane says, tokens, all sorts of ways to get weapons without gotcha. Fair. Tree Void, the lack of meaningful stamina energy system. Yes, I think that is very fair. I said spheres. Spheres are the best part of the game. Tudik says Power Stones. Again, great instead of having to get multiple copies to do that. Obviously generous. Sysis says Party use screen because JP doesn't have it. Suck it, JP. True. JP still doesn't have the Party use screen. Final Asim, turn-based battle system. Best RPG gameplay mechanic ever. It's unfortunate we don't see it in most recent games, like Final Fantasy games. Daniel says, turn warping. Well, hey, Shulk is your turn warping hero. Be Lucky says, early, I really enjoyed the summon phase. Timing it often was the way to get wins when the turn counts were higher. Yeah, hey, true. Yodik says, launching. Love it when characters are flying around. JD Terraforce says, burst phases. And Stray Beat says, brave, refund, retain. Also, instant break. If the enemy's brave is a multiplier of 2. Mino, what is your favorite DissidiaFFOO mechanic?
I'm gonna say warping, but I want to give a shout out to the Brave system. I think so many people say that Brave system is redundant. Like DissidiaFFOO wrote themselves into a corner with the Brave system. Like they should have just made regular damage like all other RPGs.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be so like capped because they're like, oh, these days Brave doesn't even matter, or breaking them does. I don't know. But I feel like the Brave system allowed for a lot of unique mechanics. I still think the Brave system is so cool. And this is the only game ever that has used something like the Brave system. Because the Brave system exists, we have so many like an extra layer of mechanics that you'll never see in other RPGs, like batterying as a whole role, right? Like batterying can somehow increase your damage, that you can cast a support skill to make sure the other people on their turns are set up to do damage. Like, I think that's really cool. Or the whole like brave retention is possible because of that, refunds, etc. Like, I think the Brave system is so cool, guys. Like, I hope if DissidiaFFOO dies, some other game someday steals this system, because I think it's so unique and so fucking awesome. We have so many roles and RPG mechanics that just do not exist anywhere else. But that aside, I think turn warping is really fucking awesome, because I don't think I've ever seen that in another RPG ever, and it's really cool to be able to shadow an enemy turn and like insert yourself to interrupt. Mark?
Yeah. Spheres. No, spheres are the best. I like to have my Right? And costumes. Of course, we like to have costumes. Anything that can assert my dominance over other people in co-op is really, really an important part of the gameplay. No, I agree with you. Actually, I think the actual Brave system was a really cool idea, and maybe it could be incorporated into other games. Obviously, I am a big fan of the fact that this is a turn-based RPG, very similar to the way turn-based worked in Final Fantasy X, which is one of my favorites of the system. But a turn delay bat, I do love delete delay mechanics much more than launching. I'm not a huge fan of launch this game. Yeah. Well, we did get a GL exclusive event. In JP, Boss Rush is dead, but in GL, Boss Rush lives on. In this new event, he finishes in which what means something, right? I remember they even talked about it on stream what this means in Latin, but I don't remember. So sorry, I didn't look that up. But it is a new Boss Rush. Woohoo! The end is the beginning. Thank you. Thank you. Makes more sense. Like that Smashing Pumpkins song. The end is the beginning. Great song. Yes. Thank you, Yin. How deep. How deep. This is the end of Lufania Plus, the beginning of a new era. But we got a couple banners, interesting banners to talk about, if not actual characters. Forum, Prish, and Kate Sith on kind of the main banner. And then on the off banner, Gilgamesh, Layla, and Aiko. So some interesting pickups. Obviously, Aiko, Gilgamesh, and Layla are already C90. Is Gilgamesh already C90? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're already C90s. They didn't get anything new. They are what they are. If you don't have any of them, Layla is your kind of dodge tank, bring everybody up after the enemy attacks. Gilgamesh is... Yeah, Gilgamesh and Aiko makes you not die. Well, she lets you die and then come back to life, which is really helpful. So potentially good banner pickup if you are trying to collect some characters and fill out your roster for Dimensions End and other kind of mechanics where you need multiple characters if you are a new player. Not a bad banner. But Porum and Kate Sith do get their C90s. Now, in JP, there was a special campaign during the Vincent cycle, which is the next cycle, where Kate Sith was on a banner with Realm. Dimensions and Entropy, Dimensions and Transcendence, Dimensions and Transcendence, Tier 9, which Dimensions End I'm talking about, had Vincent with his LD for the first time and Porum. And so Porum got her C90 at that point. Vincent already has his LD in GL because he was GL first. Porum and Kate already have their LDs, obviously. So they warped a week early. Kate and Porum on this banner, which makes one thing. The campaign banner is going to be squished, and Realm's LD will be on Vincent's banner. That would be my guess. Mino, any thoughts about this rearranging of characters?
Yeah, for all the people that said that GL is never going to get banners without a new LD, suck it. I'm pretty sure there was someone really gambling on where Porum was going to fall at this point. I don't know why. I don't know why people run so wild with their theories with no proof, but I know there are a lot of people who really champion that every single banner in GL is going to have a new LD. We just got 2 right here that didn't, and that's fine by me. It's just hilarious. I don't know why people love running their theories like fact, but let's see. Porum, a lot of damage now. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I liked using Porum. Her numbers are good again.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like Kate's numbers were that great,
No.
but some people really enjoyed using him this boss rush.
Is he special? Yeah, okay. So yeah, she's staff, he's special, so I mean you can throw your ultimate weapons on there. that could help. But yeah, I felt like his damage is not any better than it has been. Obviously, both of them are supports. Both of them are solid supports. She both of them solid supports that battery. She focuses a little bit more on the damage mitigation. He focuses on the crit damage up. That's kind of the two unique gimmicks among them, if you're not familiar with the two characters. But you thought her damage was competitive for a support character.
Oh yeah. Well, I think she has synergy stats for the boss rush, right?
Yes, correct.
But like her LD and EX were hitting for 800-900 easy, no ultimate weapon. I mean, of course, then her S1 and S2 don't do any damage.
Yeah.
So, and then her HP plus is actually pretty dookie now because it's only one dump. But the LD and the EX
it's the follow up.
Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's follow up.
And then again, this boss rush was very, very high defense, so
yeah.
It showed that the kit really shined when that happens.
So again, they're not new characters. They did get C90s, so that is something. But I think the bigger thing to talk about for a few minutes is the actual boss rush. There are 4 stages. There's also the co-op, but 4 stages. The level 100, level 150, level 200, very hard. And for the first time, the very hard plus. And so this is a level 250 or Lufania difficulty. 3 waves. The first is 2 of the Optimus. Speaking of Optimus, I just ordered my Lego Optimus Prime transforming Lego set. And each of these have fairly unique orbs that you can tell what they're going for here. This orb is ticks up by 1 if it takes at least 10,000 or 100,000 brave damage, 100,000 brave damage 1 hit. But it ticks up significantly if the player deals 400,000 HP damage in the second turn of character's consecutive turns. That is going towards Prish. The Bahamut, who summons stupid ads. Player grants target at least 100% max brave in 1 turn, battery, or it takes critical brave damage. Kate Sith, Porum, both focused on there. And then the Elverets, the floaty, scary looking things. This is all Ico, right? Everything here is Ico. Target takes holy brave damage, player extends buffs, player HP regen. That's all Ico. So those are the characters they're selling. Obviously, you can completely. I haven't looked at the tips section. Oh, where is the tips? Oh, thank you. Wow. Okay. So no, I need to read this on air because I have not looked in the tip section. I'm going to use the recommended parties. Has anybody done that? I forget that there's a tip section, first of all. Second of all, we're going to do this. So Prish, Gilgamesh, Cisne, Kate Sith, Layla, Snow, Porum, Ico, Garnet. Oh yeah. I'm going to do that later. We're going to run through the recommended. When the enemy is unbreakable, this is tips for wave 1. Nothing is gained, not even brave gain, from being riled. Stay calm, as there's nothing detestable with hitting twice as hard. Child. Ha ha ha. The end is nigh. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. When the enemy is unbreakable, Lucky Girl is critical to avoid a catastrophe and a loss. The queen is back and turn order condemnable. Fight fire with fire and insert order to show who's boss. The evanescent era on high. Ooh, this may rhyme if you had read it before. When the enemy is unbreakable, a reliable white mage and young summoner is here for the count. Excuse me. It's very small for me to read this. Dividing us apart every 6 turns when special countdown is active is tolerant. But with conviction and Phoenix's protection, the challenge you shall surmount. A new beginning we descry. Finis est inituum. Initium? I don't know. My Latin's off. My Greek and Hebrew okay, but my Latin's a little off. Anyway, interesting. I forget. Interesting. Yeah. It's interesting that Squex refers to Penelope Mankin as the queen. Now, you can do this. We'll just talk about the hardest fight, the very hard plus. You have the option to bring 6 teams to beat this. Each team doesn't get 50 turns, they get 30 turns. But to get all the rewards, you have to do it in 4 teams or less. Is that correct, Mino?
Yeah.
But you can bring 4 teams and get all the rewards.
Yes.
Okay, so you only get 30 actions, but 4 teams. So normally you would get 3 teams and 50 actions for 150 actions. Now you get 4 teams, but only 30 actions. That is 120 actions. So 30 less actions, but more potential interesting interactions with 4 teams. So I kind of like the idea. I have not gotten to it. So Mino, what has been your experience? I started it, but I didn't get to complete it. So Mino, what's been your experience with the boss rush?
Well, first, let me just applaud the devs for doing exactly what I asked for way back when Garbage Time started, which was sprinkling Garbage Time. Like every month, I think except for 1 month, they've had GL exclusive fights. I think now that
they really have, and we should commend them for that because it helps break up Garbage Time a little bit to have
seriously,
something interesting.
It made it so much more tolerable, and not only was it just like enough to get by, now people are actually actively looking forward to the GL exclusive events more than anything else.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what a nice surprise. So, like, thank you guys so much, Defo devs, for sprinkling in GL exclusive fights almost every month of Garbage Time. Because it was a long stretch, and we got several exclusive fights almost every month. So, fantastic job. That really earns my respect and loyalty. Like, they really do care about making the GL experience better than the JP experience. That being said, also thank you for listening and making the fights hard. And this is a hard fight. It's funny because I think right before this event dropped yesterday, I was talking to Somegi and we were talking about how, the game would be more fun if you didn't feel like you were cheating by using like green BTs or like full blue or like all Ultima weapons. Like, it all felt so unnecessary, right? Like, it really feels like the game is tuned to maybe like 1 green BT on a team, and it's definitely not tuned to the Ultima weapons or anything, right? Like,
right now,
all the bosses are like 20 million, and you can do that in 1 burst phase nowadays. Fucking tree void, sorry. But like, this fight really felt like you could bring. A lot of people did full super synergy, so like 4 teams of super synergy characters, green BTs, Ultima weapons, and it still felt tough. It felt tough, and there are a lot of mechanics in there that are not only a giant middle finger to a lot of characters, but it really makes you think about your characters, because there's a lot of different combinations of people that cleared already. So the very first fight, there's 3 waves. The first one is no brave gains, and that tripped people up.
Sure.
Because
yeah,
like once you start thinking, who actually does good damage just on their own without any brave gains whatsoever? And it was really fun trying to come up with a team for that. Then you go to Bahamut that has a shit ton. What was it? I want to say it was like 47 million or something like that. But, 30 turns to do that. And then no summon. Your summon's locked out.
Oh, right, yeah.
And no launching. So all of a sudden, that's such a tight turn count, because it's not even by turn. can't have instant free. Everything counts. So it's not just averaging. Geez, what was it? It's not just averaging like 1.5 million damage a turn. It's 1.5 million damage an action, and that is so difficult.
Well, you can. I mean, obviously, you can take more than 30 turns on the second wave, right?
Right.
But yeah, and there is the Pinello mankin in that wave as well, right? They can do evanescence and kill you.
Yeah, that's fair. But there are to be fair, there's a lot of ways to deal with it now,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
good.
yeah.
And then
A
and
lot
then
of people
the
can
third,
take it. Yeah.
yeah, the third wave, I'll admit, most people saw it as a victory lap, and they just burned it through. So I'm not entirely sure all the mechanics in the third wave. And I'm also not sure how that orb works. So chat, if you guys want to tell me how the orb on the third wave works, because I thought I had no fucking idea. It says extending buffs, and I know refreshing buffs doesn't count. So you need someone like Hope or Eiko to
yeah, Hope. Zaz. Doesn't
extend.
Zaz extend
Yeah,
buffs?
yeah. You need someone like them to extend buffs. And there's also, it says holy damage not on turn. So I tried both Eiko LD and Forum follow up, and they didn't tick the orb consistently for me. So I'm not sure what it was. You have to do off turn holy damage cross is saying, but I'm saying like does Eiko's not count? Because that's a counter. Shouldn't that count as well? I don't know. It didn't feel like
I
it.
would have thought Aiko's that all of these things were her orb. I mean, all of these orbs, all of the conditions for this orb would be based on Aiko, yes. But you're saying that that's not how you experienced it?
No, it definitely is an Eiko orb. She just didn't feel like a good pick for it. And so the first one is very unique. The first one is Bahamut's orb, except you need to do more you need to do a certain amount of damage on your second turn. So a big hit. So I mean, also let's not forget all of these fights were unbreakable, just like Divine Bahamut, and most of them were immune to almost all debuffs. So when you take away Brave gains for like a third of the fight, when you take away characters that are reliant on debuffs, I don't know. It was massive. There's so many mechanics in here. It was a ton of fun, ton of HP. I'm trying to think, like, it really made you appreciate. I saw a lot of lock for defense ignore enchant, which was very good because their defense was so high. Obviously, Prish looked really good here because, you know, doubling people's brave hits really made up for the lack of battery. A lot of follow. I don't know. You'll have to experience it for yourself, Mark. It was a fantastic fight. You could throw everything you had at it, and it still felt like it put up a challenge. I have no idea how non-vets are going to deal with this. It feels like you need a pretty stacked roster. It definitely feels like it was built for like 4 BT teams and super synergy and everything. Ultima weapons. It was tough. And the best part is just we all thought Boss Rush was a dead, outdated format.
Right.
All they had to do
yeah.
was, all they had to do was crank up the difficulty and people love it again. And people were saying how this format is even better than, say, like 6-man because this has lockouts, right? With a 30 turn lockout, you have to have several built teams, like not just built characters, but teams that work well together and overcome the mechanics. Whereas 6-man, as much as we love it, there's no lockouts for 6-man. So the complaint, well, quote unquote complaint, the nitpick moving forward is that you can always bring your 6 or even like 3 strongest people and run through all of them. And again, 6 is less than, say, 9 or 12 here. But this made people really appreciate the format. I really don't think there's anything wrong with Defoe's events. A lot of it was just difficulty, and it really does feel like, I'll keep saying this, turn up all the numbers on all the events and everyone is happy. They could have just doubled the stats on all the enemies during garbage time, and I think people would have had a blast. it was great seeing this event drop and way less people posting clears than usual. Like this fight really did take a while. There were actually people in TCC GL channel asking for legitimate help on events again. It's been a long time since that's happened, and people really like to talk about the different teams they use because there were a lot of people that really tackled it in different ways. So what a fantastic event. I can only imagine maybe we might even like Heretic if they turn the numbers up too. I don't know. Maybe imagine a Heretic that was actually difficult. Yeah. Would that save that format? But fantastic event. I'm sure people in chat have things to say about it, and I'm sad that you didn't get to experience it before we went on air.
Yeah. Do you have to do the very hard and the very hard plus?
No. The very hard plus will knock out the very hard.
Okay. Yeah, they unlock together, so I did get to do the first one, then I was called away to deal with garbage for much longer than I wanted to deal with. But so it goes. Hey, well, let us know how you do. Go on Discord if you're looking for help, if you're looking for team ideas. A lot of different people have done some interesting runs on Discord. Looking for some challenges, probably work on that too. But let's go to podcast questions. Again, you can always ask us your questions. You can super chat right now, or you can gift a sub right now and just write your question, and we'll be happy to answer it live on air. But let's look into the podcast questions from our Discord. Final Asim says, hey guys, good evening. Now that you are pulling on every new weapon with gems, I haven't used gems in a long time. What do you use your free daily ticket on? I use my free daily ticket on whatever I'm missing, and then if I have everything, then I just throw it away on something, I guess. So yeah, like if I'm missing a BT, then I'll throw it on a BT. If I had everything right now, I would use it on the triple BT banner, try to get extra BT tokens. You know?
Oh, that's a good idea. I should be doing that too. Yeah, I just throw them away. Yeah. Honestly, I already pull for everything right now. I just throw them away. I can't even feel bad about it. I can't remember the last time I got a LD or BT off that free pull, so it's almost always like a bronze and an EX occasionally, so it's whatever.
Another question from Final Asim. Now that we have these new gem tickets, NF tickets, that you get by spending gems, what are your plans? How many gems will you convert to tickets? I converted a lot of gems, over 1 million, to 200 tickets. Is that exactly 1 million? 200 tickets is exactly 1 million? I don't remember how exactly that works. How's math work? What's 50,000 times 200? Is that 1 million?
I'm not sure why you wouldn't convert all of it, because I'm just saying anyone in general.
No, right.
As well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you might want to hold on to a few because you can use gems for items, for books. You can use gems for revives. You can use gems for bell refreshes if that's something you're interested in. Not personally. It's like very rarely, and I have so many, so many books still at this point. But yeah, you don't necessarily want to use them all, but you might want to keep a little bit, a couple thousand gems on hand, which you'll probably get just by doing events anyway. So
yeah, I mean, here's my counter, because in saying that too is, well, this is to get under the gem cap. Yes. If you don't empty your gems, like Mark, you probably have 220, like 30K of paid right now, and the gem cap is coming. So eventually you got to spend down all the way to make room. So I'm not sure why, if you're over the gem cap, just spend down to zero.
Just get your tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, and reset your thing. And then, like, in saying, well, books and bell refreshes, like you said, but I mean, we just had the divine boards, which was like 40K something gems, so you could spend down to 0 and then have 40K sitting there. Each event is like 6 to 7K gems. I don't know. Like, it's easy to get enough gems for items and bell refreshes, guys. Like, even doing the daily. So yeah. So like, I don't see any issue if you're over the gem cap. There's no reason not to spend down to 0.
So have you,
in my opinion,
have you spent down to 0 gems?
Yeah, of course. Okay. And also, if you want to start hoarding again, it's a lot easier to look at the smaller number. I think I have like 160 tickets, and it's much easier to say, well, I don't want to spend the 5-10 tickets.
I still have
that's
so many fucking tickets.
that's
I have
that's this
so
much
many
of my
tickets.
that's this much of my wealth. Like when you stare at a big number, it's meaningless to you. But when it's a tiny number of tickets, you can really put it out of sight, out of mind, and be like, oh, okay, it's easier not to want to touch this tinier stash.
Yeah, oh man, the ticket situation is rough, isn't it? I just cannot get rid of tickets. I've tried desperately to get rid of tickets. I've pulled on tickets everything last month and everything this month. I've only spent 100 tickets this month and gotten all 3 LDs that I didn't have. It's pretty awful. So yeah,
People who
that's
hoard
where they are.
tickets make me sick, Mark. I'm sorry. I'm not saying this is you. I'm not saying this is you.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I was gonna
But,
use gems on Lulu, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna burn through tickets. And 20 tickets later, I got her. So I'm like, fuck.
But I peeked over at Chris's stream the other day during work.
Yeah.
And he used to not have a lot of resources. Now he has a ton of resources. I'm sure he's saved during garbage
Everybody
time.
does, yeah.
But like, if you look into his inbox, he was like, "Oh, should I spend some tickets on Lulu?" And he had like 5,000 to 6,000 tickets, and it's just like, holy shit! How are you ever worried about resources?
No, that's
when
why.
you have thousands
I mean,
upon thousands of tickets.
that's why I pulled for Ico. I didn't have Ico, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pull on this banner. I mean, at this point, I have literally everything else.
I feel like you'd be more stressed worrying about the tickets expiring.
Oh yeah,
And,
no,
like,
I'm getting close. I'm
and-
getting close. I got 30 days left on some of these tickets. 27 days left on some of these tickets. But again, I'm gonna be chasing the rest of the month. So there we go. Be Lucky has a question kind of about the gem cap and the new tickets. So basically, with the implementation of gotcha tickets, it seems like Squex is adamant about getting people's gem count down. Previously, we thought this was to curb spending. No, we didn't. We didn't think that. Squex is not your friend. But some people did, and so I appreciate that. What's the end game here? Why go through all this effort? If this is just fear about people closing in on the maximum gen limit, is there something else I'm not seeing? Be lucky, yes. Squex are idiots. That's what you're missing. There was some corporate idiot who said, this is what we should do because other gotchas have it and they're making more money. So all of our gotchas should do it too. And people are like, well, that's not how this game works. And so here we go. And they said, well, we can't lose face because that's a big thing. And so we're going to solve the problem that we created. There you go.
Lord Touch Me says, I'm still not claiming my events reward tab to extend the duration of those tickets.
There you
God,
go.
that's you guys are this is next level, guys. Like, I feel like at some point you're worrying about your tickets more than the game itself. That's like the gameplay. But yeah, Be Lucky. I mean, I think it's futile to guess their motive behind the gem cap because clearly they don't want to tell us.
Yeah.
Like, if they wanted to tell us, they had many opportunities.
and feel free, like Squex at any point, like feel free just to like tell us here, hey, this is what was going on. Like we'll read an official statement, we'll play a little video, whatever. Like we're more than happy to share what the hell this was about.
My only theory is that putting a gem cap kind of curbs buying gems at the best deal, if that makes sense. Because I know, we always get like special sales every once in a while.
Right.
Every once in a while, you could get like the ingot packs for like half off.
Yeah.
Or you could get like the anniversary packs or the spring festival pack. Like some of these packs are very, very, very good deals. And I think they just don't want you to keep buying those and hoarding up. That's the only thing a gem cap can serve. So you don't just buy the best deals, because eventually if you cap out, you're going to have to spend it down. And then eventually there will theoretically come a time like you're like Daniel and you want something now and you'll buy the shittier packs for it. I don't know. That's the only benefit they can really get for it. But that's a stretch, and it's just a shot in the dark.
Yeah, we'll probably never know. But we do know Squix doesn't always make good decisions. Drunk Dragoon asks, what will whales do now that they can't show screenshots of their gems? Will they show stashes of multi-tickets? I have not been on the internet a lot to look, but have people been flexing their ticket stashes?
I haven't seen anything.
I don't know. I haven't even seen people. I mean, there's a couple people that were like, I got 3 million gems. Like, there's a couple people like that, but there wasn't a lot. For a while there was I got, 106 EXs, woohoo, or I got, that there was a couple people like that, but they were loud but few. And usually they burned out of the game pretty fast. So I'm not really sure that's really a problem. I haven't really noticed anybody too concerned about it because everybody's got resources now. Garbage time. This is, who's the sixth inning? Oh yeah, RVK. Any blue armors that the hosts regret. So blue armors, arguably, the most precious of resources is the blue armor. Any blue armors that I regret. Pretty much any favorite that I had to blue, like Lulu, I regret immediately. But other than that, let me see, of all my blue armors, I got my blue armors up here. Yeah, Rosa, Lulu, I definitely regret those because they're favorites and they're awful. Yeah, I have, Sephiroth and Cloud, blue, and that's useless. Other than that, I mean, most of my blues are pretty good. I don't have a lot of blues that I particularly... Is my Seymour blue? Do I have blue Seymour? Why is my Seymour blue? Okay. That's something I did. I don't know. But yeah, no, I don't really regret any of my blues. Like I said, besides those favorites that I had to blue. That sucked, but whatever. It happens. Seymour. Oh, I did it because I just wanted to mess around. Mino, any blues you regret?
Yeah, same Seymour. A lot of these, the selfish blues are always bad. At least the group blues, I've gotten used to.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're shitty, brought you to boss rush and stuff, but some of the really selfish ones like Shantoto.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready to admit that Shantoto is the worst group. Guys, I think I'm ready to admit that Shantoto is the worst green. Maybe Eldnarsh is going to be the worst one in context because, it's a free turn warp character in the era where that punishes that. But if you stack them all together, I think Shantoto's at the fucking bottom. Oh my god, it felt so bad to green and blue her.
When did Shantoto get her green? I don't even remember her getting green. You can green Shantoto?
Yeah, I think I greened Shantoto and then I immediately tried to
around Machina. Yeah, it was Machina.
Yeah. I immediately tried to take her into a few events and it immediately failed. Unless I Garnet carried her, it was holy shit. She was not doing anything. Oh, worst green, guys, for sure.
Yeah, Cross says Machina Ray, thank you. Drunk Dragoon also asked, did Mark model his laugh over Kefka's, or did Squex model Kefka's laugh after Mark? I did not see the correlation between our laughs, but if somebody wants to make a video compilation of my laughing and Kefka laughing, feel free and share the proof, and I'll answer that question. Fat Chocobo says, why does Defo hate Shulk? I think we've proved that Defo doesn't hate Shulk. They included her in the game, and Mino likes her. So, and she's got a costume. Seems like a lot of love, actually.
Shulk's nowhere near the worst character in any of her tuning passes. Nowhere close.
Red Cane asks, is Mark going to do more tier lists? Red Cane, just pull. Just pull, man. Just pull. It's okay.
Oh, did you not do one for this
No,
month?
I haven't done one for this month. There's a lot going on in my personal life and job life as well. A lot of ups and downs this year. But so I did not get to do one. My advice for you, if you are, because I'm probably not going to do one at this point. I have some time here over the next few days that I could do some videos. I just very truthfully may not. I may stream another night, and because there's this new GL exclusive event, I may stream the event. Not tonight, but some other time. But yeah, I probably won't do a tier list for this month because I pretty much, if you got a lot of resources, pull on everything, and if you don't pull it all, because save for FR era at this point, because there's nothing that's really must have at this point this month. There's a lot of interesting kits that you might want to pick up, but there you go. So it goes. My tier list, I already said, I think on the last show too. I think Edge would have been my kind of gem chase, and then after that, I don't know. It really just depends on who you're interested in mechanically. But Red Cane, specifically Red Cane. Make a choice, buddy. You can do it. We believe in you. Look at, we just went through all those blues. I don't regret any of those. Yeah, maybe like, oh, I blued it and then I didn't use it. But then you come back and you use them. You're using them in Boss Rush. They get their FR. You're like, oh, I already got them blue. See, there's no regrets in Defo. There's no bad decisions in Defo. There's no, except Thancred, but there's no bad decisions in Defo. Gem Lulu. Then get Braska.
Red Cane, you also just rerolled. I want to say a fresh account has
so much gem.
At least close to 1 million, right? Like, you should be able to pull a lot. Pull everything right now, yeah.
Stray Beat asks, since we're now exchanging gems for these new tickets, are we technically mixing gems and tickets? No, we are. That's exchanging. Mixing and exchanging are two different scientific principles, correct? So if I'm mixing things together, that's different than an exchange, right? So we're not mixing gems and tickets, and you can't mix gems. You can't mix gems and super tickets. You have to use all your super tickets and then your gems. So I suppose if you use all your gem tickets and then you had gems, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, the world may never know. Raylos, last question. This was asked in other channels and podcasts. What other podcast? What other podcast? Raylos. What other podcasts are you listening to? Where you getting Defo questions? Want to know? Give me names. This was asked in other channels. What do you prefer in a new character? Mechanics, kits, characters themselves, or do you want a happy balance of both? Hey, I always like my favorites, right? And so if my favorites come to Defo, I'm going to enjoy that. But I think as we've mentioned before, it really is the mechanics. It's the kit of the game. Mina, what are your thoughts?
I mean, same, right? Like, if they have a new unique gimmick, I will really, like, that's all I want. I don't know how realistic that is to keep doing at 165 characters. Right. I don't know how many new concepts they can possibly come up with, but they're not done yet, because like, I don't really care for Shelke or Dirge of Cerberus,
right?
But because she has this cool mechanic, I really like the character in Defo. And then even a lot of new characters coming out still have unique gimmicks. Like, we have Jack Garland with the Negative Brave, which is very, very cool. Who else was around him? What are new characters? Luna Freya with Pain's Positioning is very fun. Shit, who came out after them? I'm missing oh yeah, there was Dorgan, there was Minwoo. Yeah, but as long as they do something neat, I don't give a shit who it is. There's so much salt these days. Every single character announced on JP now has people crying about it on Discord. I can't believe people complained about Fusoya.
Fusoya.
Like people who have played and allegedly beaten FF4 say they don't remember him.
Oh,
right?
No.
Giant,
You can't.
giant shout out to BC who says,
No.
I can't believe they put Fusoya in the game. He's barely with you. He's with you for 2 dungeons. That's as long as anybody
much
else.
as Tella and
Right?
Tella's in a bit, but
Tella's a lot.
Yeah,
Tella's but like
we went through
like
this.
Sid,
Yeah,
the twins.
Yeah, twins aren't
like
really
Edward,
in that long. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all like 2 dungeons. Some of them are 1 dungeons. You can't say Fusoya's barely in the game when he's been in there as much as the other characters. Not to go off on a tangent, but the long story short is like people aren't going to remember people that show up deep in the games. That's why usually it's people the first people who arrive, like Minwoo and Desh, who are pushed the most, because most of you Zoomers don't have the attention span to reach like hour 20 of a 20-hour RPG. But first of all, how can somebody complain about Fusoya? That's blasphemous. And then the next character is Jessie from FF7 Remake, and then you've got people complaining about that too, the opposite crowd. First, there are people who played the new games who didn't play the old ones that complain about Fusoya, and then now you have the people who played the old games complaining about Jessie. Like, why can't you just let people have characters? I don't understand why everyone's always so mad. Every month the character is announced, everyone flips off the fucking handle.
So Black Cloud Strife from the Ranting Hour podcast says, Sukyu Mood Eek. I don't know if that is Farsi or a different language I'm not familiar with. This is an English speaking podcast. So keep the chat in English, please. But we'll respond to that later. Jiromata says, good question. Jiromata says,
do you want to save? Oh, I thought you wanted last question. Sorry, we can still go. I was just saving these for later.
No, we'll do. Nah, we've gone over 2 hours. Who cares? We'll answer these questions. Who cares? We'll answer your questions. We are here for you. This is your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. You're not a stream. We're not a hokey call-in show. No, this is your podcast. We will answer your questions. Jiromata says, do you think all Boss Rush will work do you think Boss Rush will work for Shinryu era? With building Force Gauge, we'll probably have to give us a few more turns. Oh, that is a good point. Yes, obviously to build up the gauge, but it might be a race to figure out how to do that, or maybe there's a different way to live into that mechanic. That's a good question.
I think Boss Rush would actually work amazing for Shinryu if they ever decide to bring it back, because when you have a limited amount of time, well, first of all, now with Boss Rush you need several teams.
Yes.
And one of the biggest complaints we see on Discord about Shinryu is, you can bring the same FR and stop all of Shinryu. Well, suddenly when you need to build 3 to 4 teams around 3 to 4 FRs, I think that's really cool. Then once again, you're promoted to do it.
Right.
You're encouraged to build a lot of teams and a lot of FRs. Not only that, but with a limited amount of actions, you probably have to weigh the cost of building the gauge and executing while dealing with the mechanics. Hell, I think that's a good. I think Boss Rush would do amazing, you guys.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting, because you can certainly build the gauge, probably build a gauge and move into, you may need a few more than 30 turns depending, but build a gauge, move into a burst phase, and then, have to switch to a different team and not, just get one team through the entire thing. Interesting. Lord Touch Me says, any BT green regrets? So any green BTs?
I'll go first because mine was easy. I already said Shantoto, but Caius is my biggest regret. I forgot who it was. Somebody donated a crazy amount of money to get me to pull and green Caius.
Yeah.
We can look back on the VODs. I forgot who it was. But if you wanted to spend money to troll me, mission accomplished. That's the best money you ever spent, because I can't tell you how many times since Caius came out that I just stare at his BT and get mad, because that was gems down the table. I think that was a near pity. So that's like 100k gems down the drain, and ingots in a book. And I'm staring at my ingots and book right now saying I don't have enough for all the people that I want to play coming up. And it's just like Caius is just a giant middle finger in my roster. I've never used them once. When I tried, I hated it. I absolutely detest the character. And you paid, I don't remember, Guy, how much you paid to fuck me over like that. But I can tell you that I'm still feeling the effects to this day. Mark?
Yeah, similarly, I believe I was goaded into greening Golbez. To be fair, it won from one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. But terrible BT plus. Besides that, I don't have any regrets. I'm fairly limited on my BTs. Even though I've been greening favorites along the way. But yeah, that's rough. Yeah. Well, I think that's it. This has been episode 196, encroaching upon 200 of the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. Listen to it on any of your favorite podcast apps, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. TCCpodcast.com. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for being live. Thank you all for listening back later. Again, remember, this has been presented by Manscaped, your number one source for all things below the belt. Manscaped.com. TCC Pod at checkout. TCC POD for 20% off your entire order. Looking ahead, we have Size Event, Dimensions, and Transcendence Tier 9, Intersecting Wills with Edge, and a raid event with King. And then the Skrex Community Mobile Stream on Monday, June 27th for the Shinryu FR era. Until then, friends, this has been Mark Amino. We'll see you later. We are done recording. We can hop into post-show if you would like, and
I'm probably not gonna hang out tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark.
No,
I'm like tired. And I gotta.
hear you. So we
But
will.
if anybody wants to join, Mark, I don't know if Mark wants to stay and BC's free to chat a bit, but I gotta go.
No, I hear you, and I probably have some things I need to work on as well. So thank you all for joining us. We'll talk to you in next time. Hit us up. Hit us up.